The guy on the $1 bill grew cannabis? So did the man who wrote the Declaration of Independence. This part is completely, verifiably true. The part everyone gets wrong comes next. Because yes, the Founding Fathers grew weed, but almost nothing you've heard about it is quite right. And the honest truth is way more interesting than the myth. So let's separate the legend from the leaf. First, you have to understand something wild about early America. Cannabis wasn't hidden, it was one of the most important crops on the continent. But not for the reason you're thinking. Because this wasn't the plant people smoke today. This was industrial hemp, grown for rope, sails, and cloth. It was so useful, the colonies were basically obsessed with it. In 1619, Virginia passed a law about it. The law didn't ban hemp, it ordered farmers to grow it. That's right, in early America, growing cannabis could be mandatory. Other colonies followed with hemp laws of their own. And here's the detail that really breaks people's brains. In some colonies, you could pay your taxes with hemp. The crop was so valuable it worked almost like money. So why did colonial America care so much about a plant? Because hemp fiber was the duct tape of the 1700s. It made the rope that held ships together. It made the sails that caught the wind. In fact, the word canvas comes straight from cannabis. Sailcloth, tents, wagon covers, all of it woven from hemp. It made rugged clothing that could survive hard farm work. It even made paper. So a young nation quite literally sailed and rode on hemp. Which brings us to the most famous hemp farmer of all, George Washington. Yes, the first president, the face on the dollar bill. At his estate, Mount Vernon, Washington grew hemp. We know this because he wrote it down himself. His farm diaries are full of notes about his hemp crop. And one single diary entry became legendary. In August of 1765, Washington wrote a curious line. He noted that he was separating the male hemp plants from the female ones. And this is where the internet loses its mind. Because separating male from female plants is a trick smokers know. Remove the males, and the females grow more potent. So, people insist. This proves Washington was chasing a high. But hold on, here's the honest problem. Separating male and female plants also matters for fiber and seed. A careful hemp farmer would do exactly what Washington described. And there is no real evidence that Washington ever smoked it. The famous line is genuinely ambiguous. It could hint at potency, or it could just be smart farming. The truth? We simply don't know, and honesty demands we say so. But given his farm, the smart money says he meant business, not buzz. And Washington wasn't the only founding father in the hemp game. Thomas Jefferson grew hemp at his estate, Monticello. Jefferson was a relentless tinkerer and inventor. He even worked on a device to break down hemp stalks more easily. These men saw hemp as a patriotic, practical crop, not a party favor. Which brings us to the biggest myth of them all. You've probably heard the Declaration of Independence was written on hemp paper. It's repeated everywhere and it sounds perfect. But the famous signed version isn't hemp paper at all. That copy was written on parchment, which is treated animal skin. So the big hemp paper claim? Mostly busted. Now, to be fully honest, some early drafts may have been on hemp paper. Hemp paper really did exist back then. But the iconic document everyone pictures is skin, not stalk. And that leads to the myth people love the most. Did the Founding Fathers actually get high? Here's the science that ends the fantasy. The hemp they grew was bred for strong fibers, not strong effects. Its level of the active compound was extremely low. You could smoke a whole field and get little more than a headache. And there's no credible evidence any of them tried. So the fun answer, get high, is almost certainly false. The true answer, they grew it by the acre, is far cooler anyway. So, picture it, a crop the government once ordered you to plant. A crop woven into sails, ropes, clothes, and the nation itself. So, how on earth did that same plant become public enemy number one? The fall didn't happen overnight. First came slow decline. New machines made cheaper materials easy to produce. Cotton exploded across the country. Steamships needed fewer rope and canvas sails. Bit by bit, hemp faded from America's fields. Then, in the early 20th century, everything changed. A wave of fear swept the nation about a plant now called marijuana. Sensational newspapers whipped up alarm and outrage. Much of the campaign was fueled by prejudice and racially charged fear. Cannabis got swept up in the panic of the Prohibition era. And in 1937, it all came to a head. A federal law placed a crushing tax and rules on cannabis. And here's the cruel irony. The rules were so strict they crushed harmless industrial hemp too. The very crop Washington farmed got tangled up in the ban. So think about how far the pendulum swung. From a crop you were fined for not growing, to a crop you could be arrested for growing. The same plant, the same country, a complete reversal. For decades, the patriotic crop was mostly outlawed and forgotten. But history has a funny way of coming full circle. In recent years, industrial hemp has made a legal comeback. Today it's back in fields making rope, cloth, and paper once again. The crop the Founding Fathers loved is finally patriotic again. So let's set the record straight once and for all. Did the Founding Fathers grow cannabis? Absolutely yes. Did they get high on it? Almost certainly not. And that gap between the myth and the truth? That's the whole delicious point. A nation was quite literally stitched together with cannabis rope and sails. A plant once required by law, then banned by law, now legal once more. The founders would probably be baffled by the whole argument. To them, it was never a drug, it was just a very good rope. If you love history that's true, strange, and told to you straight, subscribe. We've got a whole world of it. See you in the next one.